I'm Piaget Jenkins. Today we're going to take a look at how to configure network printers within RES Workspace Manager 2011. Now to get started, we want to navigate to Composition and then Printers here. Now the first thing you're going to see is you're going to see a bunch of options set here in the upper left hand corner, so let's go ahead and discuss those for just a moment. So let me zoom in for you. The first one we see here is Force Mandatory Default Printer, and what this is going to do is that it's going to force that printer that you have selected for all of your users, and it's going to reset that upon each logon. The next one we have here is to disconnect all network printers before logging off. And essentially what that does is that Workspace Manager will clean the user profile from user connected and disabled printers at log off. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and check this one. We zoom in again, we can see the next one is disconnect all network printers before logging on. Essentially does the same thing, it's just that it does that at log on as opposed to log off. Next we want to have refresh printers on reconnect. Let's go ahead and check that, and we're going to also check refresh printers upon network connectivity change, as we can see here. These two are good to check if you have users that tend to roam around a little bit or multiple floors within your office building. That way if they disconnect their session and they reconnect or they move to a different location, the printer could be reapplied accordingly. So once we have those checked, let's go ahead and click apply. And the next thing left to do is to actually add some network printers. Alright, now that we have our options set, let's go ahead and add our network printers. We want to drop down here to the add button and click on that. As always, we want to make sure that it is enabled, and then we can add ourselves an administrative note here. Next thing we want to do is we want to drop down and actually add a network printer. Now it allows you to browse. For me here, I have a network printer that's already been configured on my server here and has been shared out, so let's go ahead and select that. Now that we have that, it's going to show you the driver, and keep in mind that the drivers do need to be made available to the users. You can also add a comment and a location if you would like. The next box we have here is to set this as a default printer, so basically it's going to set it as a mandatory default printer for the users that have access to the specific printer. Now the next option we have here is Fast Connect, and basically what that does is that it allows users to start their sessions just a bit faster. If you highlight it and you look at the bottom here, you can see that it skips the driver checks and it postpones the permission checks. So right below Fast Connect we have the Save Printing Preference, and essentially what this is that it allows the users to preserve their printing preferences. That way they don't have to go back in and configure it each time around. As you can see here, it's selected to default, and the default settings are actually located within our user settings. So let's navigate there. We're going to click OK, and we're going to navigate right up here to User Settings. And then you can see right here the Save Printing Preference. By default it's disabled, but we're going to go ahead and place it on always unless specified. Now this is going to be our new default behavior. So let's go ahead and click apply and navigate back here to printers, and let's open our network printer again and our same printing preference. Now our default setting is to always do so that the users will be able to save their printing preference, but you can override that if you would like for this specific printer by clicking never save. Now the next option we have is wait for tasks to finish before continuing, and essentially what this is going to do is that it's going to postpone the rest of the workspace composition until the printers are taken care of properly. Now if we uncheck this box, it's going to perform this task asynchronously, and that is to say that it's going to continue composing the workspace before receiving the status of the printers. Now on checking this box, you might notice that the Fast Connect is no longer available, and that is exactly because it's going to perform that task asynchronously. So if we come back here and we check this box, and then we navigate back up to Fast Connect, and we check Fast Connect, you might notice that Wait for Task is no longer available. And that is because with Fast Connect, it's going to skip the checks and the permission checks, and it's not going to actually connect that printer until the user goes to access that. So let's go ahead and uncheck Fast Connect, and let's leave this one here for normal behavior. Just as a recap, wait for tasks to finish before continuing is going to postpone the composition, and it's going to give you a slightly longer session logon time, but the printers are going to be available at logon. Whereas with Fast Connect, the user can get into their session a bit quicker, but the printer is not going to be available, and it's not going to actually get connected until the user goes to access that printer. Okay, now that we have that set for wait for tasks to finish before continuing, which once again, if you recall, our printers are going to be available at logon, we can proceed to our next step. And the next step is to set a failover. So essentially what this is that if you want to set a backup printer so that in an event that this printer that we're configuring at this moment is not available, then the user could fail over to that printer. So let's go ahead and check that, and we essentially just repeat our steps here and we choose a printer. I'm going to proceed to my number 1 server here, and I have a shared XPS writer just for our example. And I was going to configure that as a share, and once again you can add any comments if you would like. And last but not least, we're going to add access control as always. This time around I'm going to add it as a group. We're going to do first floor, just because our test user is on the first floor, which is a great example for our printers here. And we're going to click OK. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the user session for our printers. Okay, so let's go ahead and log on with our first floor user. Now if you keep an eye on the splash screen here, you'll see right there that is connected to printer for just a moment. And now we're all logged in, so let's actually go ahead and take a look at our printing preferences. And here we are, the Ricoh from server number 2. As you can see, it has the information down there as well. Well, thanks for viewing. This has been Network Printers for RES Workspace Manager 2011.